Hello students, if I ask you these two questions directly, first one, number of digit in 4 to the power 16 into 5 to the power 25. Second one, number of zeros immediately after the decimal in 2 by 5 to the power minus 2000. I think it will take certain amount of time to answer this question. Even your calculator will not be able to will not help you out. So your logarithm will give you that opportunity to answer this two question very quickly. So without any further ado, let's get started. So in this lecture, we are going to discuss about the application part of logarithm. So these are the three things which we are going to cover in this video. The first one, which you have done in your early grade, that log will help you out to express any larger number. Second and the third one, I think for that one we are on this lecture. It will help you out to get the number of digit in any natural number, and it will help you out to count number of ciphers. So let's start with the title, characteristic in Mentisa. Say we have log n to the base a, it will be any real value for number n and to the base a, which is defined obviously. And so far we have come to know that if a base is greater than 1, then this is how your graph of logarithm look alike. So log n to the base a will be a unique value which belongs to real number r. If it is belongs to real number r, that means I can express a real value in such a format, integer plus fraction. Its integral part is known as characteristic, and its fraction is known as the mantissa. But remember, whenever we are considering fraction or mantissa, you should follow some rule, and this rule is mantissa always lies in this region. Mantissa is always positive and it is always greater than or equals to 0 but lesser than 1. For example, say if I ask you to count characteristic and mantissa for this negative number, log 0.0875 will give you a value negative 1.060. And what will be its characteristic in mantissa? Then you will try to break this number maybe in that format, negative 1 plus negative 0.060. But please be aware, negative 1 is not your characteristic. Why? Because if you are choosing negative 1 is your characteristic, then it will make mantissa negative, which is no violation of the definition. So what you really need to do, you need to add 1 and subtract 1 simultaneously, or you have to find some another way by which you can represent your that negative number. So if I'm adding in subtracting 1, then I can write negative 1.060 in such a manner. It is negative 2 plus 0.940. And by doing that, mantissa will come in the range, and there we go. Our characteristic is negative 2 and the mantissa is 0.940. Let's take some another example. In that one, we have a number n to the base 10, and it is equals to negative 3.340. If I ask you about the characteristic in mantissa, maybe this time you will, instead of breaking this number in negative 3 plus negative 0.340, you have another way to represent this number, and that way you will be expressing this number instead negative 4 plus negative 4 plus, how much will it be? It will be 0.660, correct? So by that manner, we have characteristic is equals to negative 4 and mantissa will be 0.660. Let's take another example. In that case, I haven't disclosed the number, but I'm assuming that that number will give me a value 15.225. एंड इफ आई आस्क यू व्हाट विल बी इट्स कैरेक्टरिस्टिक इन मेंटिसा, तो इस बार वो प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगी. क्या नहीं होगी प्रॉब्लम? यू कैन फ्रीली राइट दिस नंबर इन 15 प्लस 0.25. yes or no? So in that case, 15 being your characteristic and 0.25 will become your mantissa, correct? So far I believe that you are able to find characteristic and mantissa for any number, no matter whether that number is negative or that number is positive. Negative was a bit problematic, but for positive number, you haven't got any second to check what will be the characteristic and Mantissa part. Now, there come the conclusion part. Remark number one. Once you get the characteristic and Mantissa of logarithm, so your characteristic will help you out to get the total number of digit in any number n. Please mark my word. You will be able to get the number of digit in it. By what manner? So for that one, please listen my word very carefully. कि अगर कैरेक्टरिस्टिक किसी log n to the base 10 का if it is small n, if it is what, if it is small n, then number of digit in capital number capital N is n plus 1. इसका मतलब क्या हो गया? If you add 1 in characteristic, you will end up getting the number of digit before decimal point. Now have a look on the second one. If we have a characteristic by anyhow, if I'm getting a negative characteristic, then what will happen? It in that time it will help us to find out number of ciphers. Ciphers क्या हो गया? Ciphers को हम लोग कहते हैं number of zeros which is after decimal point but before any significant digit. Let's try to understand first of all the meaning of these two remarks. Suppose I have a number, let's say it is 1 lakh, and if I'm asking you how many number of digits are there, then you would say, sir, what kind of question is that? How many number of digits are there? Even a first grade student will able to answer this question. 6 number of digits are there. So why do I need to log this time? I have already given you a question before we started this chapter. So log will help you out with this larger number. But right here, we are just focus on the concept. So say I already know the answer. The number of digits is 6. Still I'm taking log to the base 10. And once I'm taking log to the base 10, then let me count what will be its answer. I can write 1 lakh as a 10 to the power how much? 10 to the power 5, correct? 10 to the power 5 to the base 10. And here we go. The answer is 5.0. 5 being your characteristic. So if 5 is your characteristic, and I know how many number of digits are there, it is 6. So how can I get 6 with that characteristic? Your answer will be, sir, simple, add 1 in its characteristic, you will get number of digit. You will get number of digit. Now let me take the another example. What is number of zeros, or what are your number of ciphers? So before we start solving this question, please pay attention to that example. And that one, after that decimal point, we have how many number of zeros? It is 3. And there we have a significant digit. Remember, any number from 1 to 9 is known as your significant digit. So before a significant digit, the number of ciphers in that number is 3. You don't need to count your 0 which are after any significant digit. All right, so that 0 after the 2 or that 0 after your 5 will not count, will not contribute anything in number of ciphers. So we have 3 number of cipher. If I ask another question, say if I have a number 0.020021, then how many number of ciphers will be there? Then your answer will be 1. No? Your answer will be 1 because you're focused on a decimal point and a significant digit. So if these two are your focus, then the number of zeros between these two words is only a 1 0. So you will not count these 2 0 which are lying between two significant digit. Now let's back to that question which we have left. So say in that question, if somebody is asking you how many number of significant digits are there, say if I'm giving you this number, then again you would say, sir, ye bachcha question kyun pooch liya hai? There are 5 number of zeros after a decimal point. But this is not actually the question we are concerning about. This will help you to build your concept. So what you really need to do, you really need to take log of that number. Log of what? 0.000001, correct, to the base 10. And let's check what I'm getting. This 0.5 times 0 and 1 can be written as, it can be written as log 10 to the power what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 to the power negative 6 to the base 10. So there we go. I'm getting the answer. It is negative 6.0. If I ask you by any mean, what will be its characteristic, then your answer will be negative 6. Then your answer will be negative 6. but characteristic is not what we are looking for. We are looking for number of zeros, and you already know there are 5 number of zero. So take absolute value of -6. Absolute value means take the mod of -6. You will get a 6. So 6 minus 1, subtract 1 from your modulus value or absolute value, it is 5. So there we go. This is how we got the number of zeros in any number if it does exist. So let's take one more example. This time 3 to the power 1000 is there, and this we need to count a number of digits. So to solve that question, what I really need to do, I really need to take log to the base 10 for that number 3 to the power 1000. And once I take the log, I'll have 1000. This 1000 will be there in front, and then we have log 3 to the base 10. As I told you earlier, you are supposed to memorize this value. So the value of log 3 to the base 10 is what? It is 0.4771. Now multiplied by 100, it will give you 477.1. And characteristic is what I'm looking for. So the characteristic of that number is 477. What about the Mantissa part? Mantissa will be 0.1. So if characteristic is 477, then how many number of digits will be there? To get the number of digits, you have to add 1 in its characteristic. Is that clear? Then try it out at your home. How many number of digits will be there in 75 to the power 100? All right. Now the last one for my side, we need to find number of cipher. I'm sure now you have accessed the word cipher means what. So to get the number of cipher, again, you have to take log to the base 10. Once you take log to the base 10, you will have a number. So by doing that, I have 2000 in the front times log 1 divided by 5. How can I write log 1 divided by 5? It can be written as log 1 to the base 10 negative log 5 to the base 10. Now I can replace log 1 to the base 10 with a 0 and put the value of log 5 to the base 10. Value of log 5 to the base 10 is 0.6990. Now multiply this number. First of all, multiplied with a 2, you'll get 0. Then we have a 8. Then we have a 9. And then we have a 13. All right. So now you may multiply that number with 1,000. Multiplying with 1,000 is just like shifting the position of decimal point. So we have -1398.0. Correct. So if I ask you to access the characteristic, then the characteristic will be -1398. And from that characteristic, what I am actually looking for is the number of ciphers. So how can I get the number of cipher? By taking its absolute value, which is 1398, and let's subtract 1 from it. This is how we end up getting the answer of that question. I hope this will help you out